now talking security. The United States Department of State is offering a reward of up to $7 million, and that's about 2.5 billion naira for information leading to the arrest of Boko Haram leader Abubakar Shekau.
A lot of money. Rewards for Justice program, which is a counterterrorism rewards program of the U.S. Department of State Diplomatic Security Service, said in a tweet in its official handle on Tuesday.
The tweet reads, and I quote, the United States Department of State offers a reward of up to $7 million for information leading to the arrest of the terrorist Abubakar Shekau, leader of Boko Haram. Shekau has been the leader of Boko Haram since the extrajudicial killing of its former leader, Mohammed Yusuf, back in 2009. End of quote.
And Shekau is currently number 8 on the list of the most wanted terrorists by the U.S. Now, the terrorist group has killed tens of thousands and displaced 2.3 million from their homes and was at one time the world's deadliest terror group, according to the Global Terrorism Index.
Boko Haram's past targets have included suicide bombings of police buildings and the United Nations office in Abuja. The group has carried out mass abductions, including the kidnapping of 276 schoolgirls from Chibok in April 2014, 2 years ago, and abducted some schoolgirls from Dapchi in Yobe State, releasing all of them, except for Leah Sharibu, who refused to deny her Christian faith.
Well, joining us now from our Abuja studios is ONYEKACHI ADEKOYA, a security expert and consultant. Thank you for joining us this morning on the morning show. Let's go straight into it. Now, $7 million, about 2.52 billion naira for anybody who can give information regarding for the arrest of Shekau Abubakar. Now, this is the biggest bounty that we've seen placed by the U.S. government. Is this the incentive that we finally need to make sure that we catch this killer?
Thank you very much for the question. First of all, I think it's important to also remind the viewers that it's a restatement of the same bounty placed, I think, some years ago, to also anyone who can avail the U.S. government or their agents any information on the whereabouts of Shekau. Whether we will see much difference on the ground this time around, perhaps that's where we're trying to also look at and assess. From my own assessment, considering that the times have changed and there's considerable pressure on the insurgent groups, maybe, just maybe, it may just give us that added push to put pressure on some of his close associates, put pressure on those who have knowledge of his movements, plus the fact also that the government is proposing an amnesty program. That may also just cause some of his members to second-guess themselves and perhaps, take the golden gate, which the federal government has built for them, to the amnesty program and decide to cash in. Whether that happens or not, we don't know. We know the terrorist group have shown themselves to be very ruthless and decisive in dealing with some kind of moles within their ranks. So the extent to which this goes, one cannot really say, except we wait and see.
Indeed, Mr. Adekoya, you're very correct, because this bounty was first issued 7 years ago. However, it was re-echoed or renewed by that tweet on Wednesday. I wonder why. What are you picking from there? Why do you think that this bounty has now been re-echoed or renewed, in the consciousness of people? And secondly, what I want to understand is, why is the U.S. the one placing such a bounty on Shekau and not Nigeria, that has suffered attacks by his terror group?
Well, I will hate to link this to the forthcoming elections in the U.S., but I mean, it would be normal reason to think that this is also linked to elections going on there and all the electioneering process. If you look at the scorecard of the current president of the United States, I think that you will rank him very well, to some extent, on the war against terror. He's shown his appetite to go for the jugular and go for the heads of these terrorist organizations wherever they find themselves. So I think that it will look good it will look good on the part of the President of the United States if he can also bag the number 7, I think. Now, if you've taken out 2 or 3 people in their list, I think Shekau comes up to number 4, number 5. So for him to say this has been done also makes him look good. So I think perhaps that's why we find a renewed interest in this matter. At the surface level, you can link it to politics, but then he's a wanted killer, he's a terrorist leader. Whether for politics or for any other reasons, I think we welcome the added pressure it will mount on his movements. Perhaps maybe we see a bit of an abatement in their, because you notice there's a renewed resurgence in the activity. There's a renewed confidence they're seeming to operate with. So maybe this will deflate their ego and efforts a bit.
Right. I just really want to ask you this. Is chasing Shekau where we should be going, or decimating the group Boko Haram itself? Because if you look at the antecedents, at some point it was said that Shekau had been killed, Shekau had been taken out of the picture, but Shekau keeps resurfacing every time. So is it not about working with the American government and decimating Boko Haram insurgent group that has now become even a splinter group? You've got ISWAP and you've got other groups, rather than focusing on Shekau. Because if Shekau is dead finally, the group gets another leader and the group moves on and they start the activities all over again. What do you say as regards this?
So I agree with you, but I think also if you understand that a number of these insurgent groups and terrorist groups are run as a business. So I'd always argued that there's an economic setup behind the facade you see in the name of religion. So if you take out and continue to take out leadership of these organizations, persons who step into leadership will first of all be preoccupied with their own security, and that to some extent will affect their operational effectiveness. More so, it's a cost-effective approach to continue to destabilize leadership, cause them to second-guess themselves, preoccupy them, again also change the strategic arena when it comes to fighting them at their own propaganda narrative. So it's, in my opinion, it's a very powerful way to go. You can see with the issues we've had with, America has had with Iran, and taking out of the leader of the Revolutionary Guard, the net impacts would appear to be positive so far. So I think that's the approach they are taking. I also agree that we should focus more on the decimation of Boko Haram. But the issue goes beyond Boko Haram, really. The Sahel region, as it were today, is a hotbed for all sorts of transnational crime, criminal networks, and the proliferation of small and light weapons. So, I mean, if you see what's happening in Mali, you can quickly see how the incidents in Mali and the unrest in Mali is beginning to spill into Sokoto, Zamfara, the northwest axis. Incidentally, the IGP, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, has also declared that we should stop calling these people bandits and rustlers. And he feels, in his own estimation, that Boko Haram and ISWAP are now also operating in the northwest. And it makes my point that Africa, should be preoccupied with not just Boko Haram, but addressing the unrest, the criminality, the lawlessness in the Sahel region. And that region is and remains the source of greatest risk to Nigeria and every other country that borders the region.
Okay, Mr. Adekoya, I'd like to bring your attention to this phenomena of, giving information, intelligence gathering, and also helping official security personnel. Especially looking at the recent killings in Kaduna, where the reason behind it was allegedly because they had been helping out certain security personnel in that group. Now, on this tweet, we're seeing a WhatsApp number here. If you have any information, you can reach out. Is there any risk factor for people who may have information regarding Abubakar Shekau? Is it something that the U.S. government should be looking at completely, or even the Nigerian government as well, to make people feel comfortable enough to share information if they do have any?
Well, so I'll speak first to the issue of risk factor. Yes, there is risk. And of course, rightly, you pointed out the incidents in Kaduna. Again, I would say, first of all, that the U.S. government, we all agree, has perfected their own trade of intelligence gathering wherever it is they have interest. Now, the issue of trust also comes to bear when you come forward with this information. What are the channels? I'm sure they have back channels to be able to get the information across to them and verify the information. I sense that you're talking about the risk involved in giving information over to the government security forces here in Nigeria. Of course, certain residents have expressed that fear, and to a greater extent, the psychological aspect of the war in the Northeast is the fact that the residents and indigenes of those areas, to some extent, feel safer staying away from the fray. Allowing Boko Haram safe passage from wherever it is they hole up to where they want to attack, again, for the singular reasons of fear of their life. And so there's a bit of a psychological gaming going on. While you're also seeking to gain intelligence on the terrorists, I've argued always that they also have a proper structure for gathering what we call counter surveillance and mounting counter surveillance and also counterintelligence also gathering on the Nigerian forces using people. So it's a bit of a back and forth. Yes, I would agree that there's some level of risk, but on the part of the Nigerian government, we have to do more to show the people that we stand with them, okay? And there are a number of things and measures to take to do that, which I'm sure the government is aware of, and maybe not everything is there for public consumption.
Well, let me ask you this intertwined question. I mean, the defense headquarters in Nigeria yesterday was quick to respond to that renewed bounty by the U.S. Spokesperson Brigadier General Wanchukwu said, "We have also declared Shekau a wanted person." How big of a deal will it be for the U.S. to arrest Shekau and not the Nigerian government? Secondly, how big of a deal will it be for them to arrest him, considering the factionalization you now have in the group?
Two things. I think you're looking at the political, the aesthetical value, really, of who lands Shekau. You can take out Shekau. Yes, it will destabilize them for some time. It will set them back a bit for some time. But we sense that Shekau has become more of an ideology than an individual. So you can take out a Shekau, as we have taken out Shekau several times in the last 9 years. It will appear that another Shekau will emerge. So who takes out this particular Shekau should not be of material interest to Nigerians. What we should preoccupy ourselves with is the restoration of peace and normalcy. I mean, 2.3 million displaced, internally displaced people is no small number. And those are the figures that the government has given to us. So it's not just the numbers of people displaced, it's the whole restiveness in the region. Okay. So I think we should preoccupy ourselves with the peace, okay, than deal with the issue of who lands Shekau.
Okay. Adekoya, I'll come back to you after this quick commercial break. We'll take a break. I'll be right back with you and ask you more questions. We'll be right back. All right, still the Raz Morning Show right here. We've got ONYEKACHI, ADEKOYA, security expert. And I just want to ask you this question as we start to wrap things up. Two dynamics. Number one will be about the synergy, between Americans and the Nigerian Intelligence Authority, because you expect that to happen. And if that is happening, then we shouldn't be having, public bounties like this. I mean, and it gets to a stage where America likes to go it alone. You remember what happened in the case of Osama bin Laden, that America got the intel, they came into Abbottabad without even telling the Pakistani intelligence team about they were coming to do anything, and they took Osama bin Laden out. The second insight I want you to talk about is this talk about Turkey. The name Turkey keeps recurring as regards all of this. The fact that Turkey supply weapons to some of these bandits and the likes. I mean, what's your take on all of that? The Brutai, the chief of army staff, did deny that in an interview. Said he had no information as regards that. But what's your take on these two insights as we wrap up?
Okay, two things. So on the American angle, and I mean the possibility of America coming in to take out Shekau if they have actionable intelligence, I don't think that Boko Haram has posed enough threat to American interests to command that much American attention. So, I mean, I doubt that will happen any time soon. In any case, America has also had some casualties up there around that Lake Chad axis where they lost some soldiers doing some missions supporting Niger. So would that happen? I don't think so. Is the appetite there? I also do not think so. I just think this is more aesthetical, and I don't think there'll be any hard boots on the ground on this issue of Shekau. As to Turkey, I mean, we've had several reports, hands fingering Turkey, France, even America, other foreign interests, and everyone seeming to have a bit of a theory as to what is happening there in the Northeast. But clearly, we have an issue that is bigger than Nigeria, which affects Africa as a whole, from Eritrea to Mauritania, the Sahel region. Again, I really, really want to emphasize on the Sahel region, because if every country built in this region sits down in the comforts of their home and say this is happening far above us, it doesn't concern us. It's only a matter of time as you see the issues in Libya trickling down towards Nigeria, the issues in Mali trickling towards Nigeria, and other countries like that. So I don't think any part of Africa would be safe if we allow them this level of safe haven to operate.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Adekoya, for joining us here on the morning show. That's all we can take for this morning.